5 texts that break an avoidance defense wall without chasing them. Let's be real, dealing with an avoidant partner through text can feel like you're trying to break into a locked fortress. They guard their emotions, they delay responses, they give you one-word replies that make you question if they even care. But the truth is, avoidants aren't heartless. They're simply afraid of being vulnerable, of letting someone get too close, and of losing their independence. And here's where most people get it wrong. Chasing them with needy texts or overwhelming them with emotional paragraphs only pushes them further away. If you want to connect with an avoidant through text, you need to speak to their subconscious fears without threatening their sense of control. In today's video, we'll break down 5 powerful texts that slip past an avoidance defense wall and create the kind of emotional safety where they actually want to respond. The first text that breaks through an avoidance wall is what I call the no-pressure check-in. Avoidants panic when they feel like you're demanding emotional intimacy through a screen. If you send, "Why aren't you replying?" or "Do you even care about me?" their instinct is to retreat further. But a no-pressure text feels light, easy, and non-demanding, which makes them feel safe enough to engage. Something as simple as, "Hey, no rush to reply. Just thought of you when I saw a specific thing," like a song, meme, or memory. This works because it doesn't corner them. It says, "I'm thinking of you," without asking them to dive into deep emotions. It's soft, casual, but it touches their heart. And avoidants are far more likely to reply when they feel they can do it on their own terms. The second text that slips through their defenses is the autonomy acknowledgement. Remember, an avoidant's deepest fear is losing their independence in a relationship. They're hypersensitive to texts that sound like you're trying to control them. So instead of saying, "I hate when you take so long to text back," you send something like, "I know you need your space sometimes, and I respect that. Just wanted to drop a quick hello." This text tells them you're not trying to cage them. You're honoring their need for space. Ironically, when an avoidant feels their freedom is respected, they often come closer. It's like reverse psychology. The moment they realize you're not demanding their constant presence, they actually choose to be present with you. The third text that works wonders is the soft vulnerability share. Most people either overshare emotions with an avoidant or completely shut down. The sweet spot is somewhere in between, sharing just enough vulnerability to invite intimacy without flooding them. For example, you could send, "Not gonna lie, today's been heavy. Just hearing from you always makes it lighter." Notice what this does. You're being real about your feelings, but not dumping them. You're also giving them a role in your emotional world without forcing responsibility. It makes them feel valued, without making them feel trapped. An avoidant who usually hides from emotions may actually step forward here. Because you're not demanding, they're being invited into your heart. The fourth text that melts an avoidance wall is the shared memory anchor. Avoidants struggle to stay consistently connected in the present, but they often hold on to memories because they feel safe revisiting something that has already happened. A text like, "Remember that time we got caught in the rain and couldn't stop laughing? I randomly thought about it today." This type of message pulls them into a warm, non-threatening memory that subconsciously strengthens your bond. Instead of pressuring them with, "Where is this relationship going?" you're showing them, "We already have a foundation worth holding on to." And avoidants secretly crave that reassurance. It reminds them that love doesn't have to mean suffocation. It can mean joy. Finally, the fifth and most powerful text is the subtle appreciation note. Avoidants often grew up in environments where love was conditional, where they were either criticized or emotionally neglected. That means their defense wall is built around the fear of not being enough. When you send a message that gently affirms them, it bypasses their defenses and lands directly in their heart. Something like, "By the way, I really appreciate how you handled yourself and our relationship after going through so much. You don't hear it enough, but it matters to me." This works because it's not love bombing. It's specific, grounded, and authentic. It tells them, "I see you. I value you." And when an avoidant feels seen without being demanded of, their wall begins to crack. Now, here's the important part. These texts work only if they come from a place of calm self-worth. If you're sending them anxiously, waiting by your phone for validation, the energy behind the words will feel heavy, and the avoidant will sense it. Remember, avoidants are hypersensitive to pressure. So the key isn't just what you say, it's the energy you carry when you say it. If you can genuinely send these texts and then go about your day, you're showing the avoidant something they rarely see. A partner who cares, but doesn't need to control. Let's zoom out for a second and think about why these work. Avoidants build walls because they don't trust that closeness won't cost them their freedom. Every time you chase, pressure, or demand, their walls get stronger. But when you send texts that honor their autonomy, invite them into your world without force, and remind them of the good moments, you're not climbing over the wall, you're slowly convincing them it's safe to open the gate themselves. That's the secret. Breaking an avoidance wall isn't about force. It's about safety, patience, and subtle emotional cues. Imagine this scenario. You've been dating an avoidant for a while, and they've pulled away again. Instead of panicking, you send one of these texts, a no-pressure memory, a subtle appreciation, or a soft vulnerability share, and then you let it be. Hours later, you get a reply that feels warmer than usual. That's not an accident. That's their wall cracking, little by little, because your words didn't trigger their fear of being trapped. And once they start to feel safe, avoidants can actually become deeply loyal and consistent partners. So the next time you're tempted to text something reactive, something like, "Why are you ignoring me?" stop yourself. Instead, reach into this toolkit of 5 texts. Remember, the no-pressure check-in, the autonomy acknowledgement, the soft vulnerability share, the shared memory anchor, and the subtle appreciation note. These aren't just words, they're psychological keys. Keys that unlock the door to closeness without force. And here's the final truth. You can't heal an avoidance wounds for them, but you can create an environment where they feel safe enough to lower their armor. These 5 texts aren't magic spells. They're gentle nudges toward connection. But when you use them with patience, self-respect, and genuine care, you'll be surprised how even the most guarded avoidant begins to soften. So let me leave you with this. The strongest walls aren't broken by force, but by warmth, consistency, and safety. And sometimes all it takes is the right words, sent at the right time, to remind an avoidant that love doesn't have to be a battlefield. It can be a refuge.